was exceedingly ambitious. It was Sharon who had put the idea into Andrina's head that she had puzzled over during the night, and which now seemed to burst from her lips as she said, "I have decided that I must go to London immediately." "To London?" Sharon exclaimed. "But what for? And why you?" "I will tell you," Andrina answered, helping herself to coffee from a pot that stood in front of her on the table before she continued. "I lay awake thinking of what you said to me last night, Sharon." "What I said," Sharon interposed, "was that if the two Miss Gunnings could take London by storm, we could do the same, and what is more, there are 3 of us." "You also said," Cheryl remarked, "that you thought I was lovelier than Elizabeth Gunning, and that Andrina looked rather like Maria." "Yes, that is what I said," Sharon agreed, "and that is exactly what I have been thinking about," Andrina interrupted. "It is perfectly true. You are both lovely, far lovelier than I am, but I would have to come with you to look after you." She paused for a moment and then added, "Let's face facts. We are not going to be able to live here in any comfort, much less in any luxury, on what Papa has left." "What is it exactly?" Sharon asked. Andrina drew in her breath. "Under £200 a year," she said. "We own the house, but it is badly in need of repair, and I don't see, if we are to feed and clothe ourselves, that we can afford more than 1 horse on that income." There was silence as both her sisters looked at her apprehensively before Andrina went on. "That is why, when I was feeling desperate, a solution came to me." "What is it?" Sharon asked. "Tell us quickly." "I am going to London to see the Duke." "The Duke?" her sister echoed. "What Duke? I had no idea we knew one." "We have never met him," Andrina replied, "but Papa said he was a very distant relative, and he is my godfather." "Not a very good one," Sharon said scornfully. "As far as I know, he has never sent you a present." "He has never paid the slightest attention to me," Andrina replied, "and that is why it is about time he did." "Who is he?" Cheryl asked. "The Duke of Broxbourne," Andrina replied. "He must be getting very old, but Papa was fond of him. When he was young, he used to go with his father to stay with the Duke, and he once described to me how grand and important the house was." "Why did he become your godfather?" Cheryl inquired. Andrina smiled. "I am not certain, but I am sure that it was due to Mamma. You know how she always wanted us to know what she called nice people, and she and Papa moved in society before he lost everything through gambling." "How could he have been so stupid?" Sharon asked angrily. "That is what he often used to ask himself," Andrina said. "He was always bitterly ashamed of having thrown away his inheritance in such a stupid manner. But I dare say it was difficult when all the gentlemen whom Papa knew were gambling wildly in London clubs, and he, being so gay and handsome, would have been unable to resist following their lead." "I can understand that while he was still unmarried," Sharon said, "but you would have thought that Mamma would have been able to restrain him." "She tried," Andrina replied, "but she said herself that she was so young and thoughtless, and as you know, she adored Papa and always wanted him to be happy." "It is not very happy for us now," Sharon remarked. "Yes, I know," Andrina agreed, "and that is why I intend to see the Duke and insist that he does something." "How can you insist?" Cheryl quizzed. "I am not certain," Andrina answered. "Perhaps his conscience will prick him when he realizes that he has neglected not only Papa as a friend and relative, but also all of us down the years since we came to live here." "Papa once said," Sharon commented, "that the rich have no use for the paupers sitting outside their front gates." "That is obviously what the Duke thinks," Andrina said, "and I am going to point out to His Grace that the very least he can do is to introduce us to society and help you both to find yourself husbands." "Husbands?" Cheryl ejaculated. "Of course," Andrina answered. "Why else should you go to London?" "Yes, you are quite right," Sharon agreed. "That is what the Gunning sisters did. Elizabeth married a duke, 2 dukes for that matter, and Maria an earl." The story had always been one of Andrina's favourites. The 2 desperately poor sisters had come with their mother from Ireland in 1751.